We're back with a very special story. I have a friend who has had a life. I think if I had the courage that she had, it would be extraordinary. Suzanne is something from years and wonderful things. I'm going to just let her talk to you because I want you to hear when she was younger, what she did to create a theatrical career, and then her life now, which is unbelievable, amazing. This is Suzanne McAndrews, and she is my wonderful friend, and I want you to hear her story from the beginning. So tell the story.
Where to begin?
You were saying that you had wanted to become an airline steward.
I became an airline stewardess only to get to California. First of all, in Philadelphia, you didn't leave your parents' home unless you were getting married. Or there was a very good reason. So my very good reason was I got hired as an airline stewardess as soon as I turned 20. So I immediately started flying back and forth to California, and then as soon as I could legally transfer out there, I did it. And so I did commercials out there, television commercials.
Now, this is the story I was telling you about people, the way they look. This is the American look. Blonde, blue-eyed, cutesy girl.
And you work again for?
Oh, United States Army, Area Command in Munich, Germany.
Good. Very interesting over there, isn't it?
And as opposed to what I looked like in those days, I was very dark and ethnic, but this is a lady who used to get the jobs all the time.
I had just the right amount of freckles, and I had blonde hair, and I looked like I was Doris Day. I was convinced I was Doris Day because I was a young girl from Philadelphia knowing nothing about life in general, and so when I got out there, I was kind of prey.
You were prey, exactly. Well, now, how did you you were a secretary. How did you get that job?
Because the first commercial I got was for a high C fruit drink at the famous football game on New Year's Day.
Oh.
The big game on New Year's Day.
Not the...
Yeah, and he was in a commercial. He was a driver in the commercial, and he remembered me from something. So I'm walking down the street one day from my secretarial job, and I was having my lunch on the street, eating a sandwich, walking down the street, and I heard someone say, "Hey, hey!" I looked over, and I recognized him from the commercial. He says, "Oh, how you doing? Come on over here." So I went to the car, and he took
me. Oh my God! You went to the car not knowing anything. You just went to the car.
I just knew him.
Oh.
And he said, "I'm starting a commercial agency, and I need a secretary. Would you do that for me?" I said, "Sure," because I was looking for a job, steady, and so I became his secretary for 2 years.
And you sent
I sent myself out on commercials.
So smart.
They would call for a commercial. They say, "We need a girl who's whatever," and I would say, "Okay, I'll send you so and so and so and so," and then I put my name down at the bottom. And one commercial I had someone else's name because I didn't dare say it was me, and I got there and I got the commercial, so I had to say, "This is me."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you put someone else's name that was an actress?
I put someone else's. I made up a name and it was someone else's name.
Oh my gosh!
So I got the commercial, I got a Clio Award for Best Commercial of the Year. It was Hunt's tomato paste.
Oh.
And that was a really good commercial. I got a Pampers commercial, and the Pampers commercial ran on soap operas.
Oh.
And so I started watching a soap opera for the first time in my life. I got hooked on it. Just to watch my commercial, I got hooked on this terrible soap opera. But everybody watched soap operas in those days.
Sure, that's what was running.
Yeah.
Did you ever go on one?
Yeah, I was on One Life to Live. just as a, five lines
under 5.
Yeah, under 5, right. I never got a part or anything like that.
It's amazing because if you looked the way you looked,
Yeah.
obviously.
So I came back to New York, and then I registered at Herbert Berghoff's studio, and to do singing, which is what I loved to do, and so I got my job with.
Where did you do the singing first?
I just sang on my own. I never did any in front of people before, but I took a class in singing there. And I auditioned for Hello Dolly, and I got the part. And it was Yvonne De Carlo for 6 months all over the country. So it was just amazing to me.
And this is like when you see a perfect type. What was that character's name? I always forget that character's name that you played.
Oh, in Hello Dolly, I was...
Ermengarde or something?
Minnie Fay.
Minnie Fay.
Minnie Fay.
Minnie
Yes.
Fay. Well, that
Yeah.
when you think Minnie Fay in those days, you think Susan McAndrews because she was a cute person.
I was very cute. That was my thing. Yeah.
And so you did it for how long?
So for 6 months on the road. And I came back to New York at the end, and then I started doing summer stock. And I did a show with...
Was that when you went out and you met Maggie?
Yes, I did. We did Carousel together, and I got to sing again a little bit as her friend. I was never the lead of the show. I was always the lead of the show's
friend.
Best friend.
Yeah.
So that was my niche, kind of. And that was it.
But then
I did five shows that year. I was very busy that year doing theater work, and it's always been my best love. And now that I'm back in HB Studios after all these many years, I'm enjoying it so much more than I did before, because now I'm old enough to understand the roles I played. I knew nothing about the characters then, but now I can see how, it's so different for me. I can understand. I'm doing scenes that I just love to do, and I'm singing songs that I just love to sing. And the class I'm in now is with a Tony Award nominee. Her name is Lorraine Sarabian. She's a very good teacher, and she gives you a lot of confidence in singing. So I just finished the semester, the fall semester is over, winter semester. And I got to sing a very funny song called To Keep My Love Alive. It's very funny.
I know
about a woman who murders all 7 of her husbands
to keep her love. That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
But now you skipped from those days to now. But I want you to tell the people. Where did you meet the husband who was the race car driver?
Well, he was a motorcycle rider actually. Was in the. How did I meet him? It's a very sad story. I was very depressed in New York, living alone and no money. And my mother sent me $50 for Christmas, which was a lot of money in those days. And I went to St. Bart's Church to a weekend in Vermont skiing. And New Year's Day, first day, sitting at breakfast, was next to me was the man I was going to marry. I just met him that morning, and he was just so nice, and I just fell in love and married, and we were married for 5 years. And he was a carpenter and also a motorcycle rider, and he was in the international 6 days motorcycle races. It's all over the world they have these, and they're always very popular in Eastern Europe and Europe in general, but not too much in the United States. And so we went to Czechoslovakia for a race. Wow. And we went to France for a race. And And the Isle of Man, which is a very strange little island in the middle of the Irish Sea. It's an island that time forgot, I swear. And so we went
And it's
there.
all curvy.
Yes, and,
I saw
and mountainous. It's a very strange island, small. And that the race was there. This was the second time it had been on the Isle of Man. And he died. He just crashed his bike. He fell off his bike, and he died. And it was just the first morning of the race, and one of the very few fatalities that ever happened. Because this is not a race for speed. It's a race from one place to the next. You get timed. Then you go to the next place. You get timed. So it's really over mountains and hills and through lakes and streams and things like that. And
Where were you when you found out that he had gotten killed?
someone came. I was waiting for him to come by, because to give him snacks and things. And I waited, and all the other guys came by, and then someone came by and said there was an accident, so we'll go to the hospital. So I got into the car, and on the way to the hospital she said, "Susan, I have to tell you that Brendan's dead." So I got to the hospital, and I had to go in and identify the body, which was pretty sad. And I knew no one, because he didn't qualify for the United States team that year, because many things happened in the qualifying races. And so they called at the last minute and said, one of our Canadian riders is injured. Will you ride for him and take his bike? And so he was on the bike riding for a Canadian team, which was completely crazy. And so
And you were by yourself there.
I was totally alone. I knew no one on that team. I knew no one from Canada, anybody on that team. So I kind of spent the next 5 days all alone on that island by myself, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because I really thought that was it. I really did.
What, for a person who's alone, did you have any money?
No. There was a $5,000 policy that he had. They given every rider got a $5,000 policy. So when I got back to the United States...
Well, while you were there, what happened?
Oh, I had a little bit of money, that was it. I had hardly any money at all. But I got back to the States, and I tried to get the $5,000, but there was
Canadian?
A Canadian... not a strike, but the Canadian Post Office was off.
Oh my God.
So I waited an extra week or two to get the money, but it helped me survive, because $5,000 really went a long way in those days. And so I went to I couldn't bear the thought of every time I met somebody from my life, they would say, "How's Brendan?" And I would just burst into tears.
Oh my God.
And so it was so horrible to do that all the time, that I wanted to go to some place that they did not know who I was. So I volunteered for a political campaign for Morris Udall for president. And I had no idea who he was. And so I went into New Jersey to volunteer. And I went to Pennsylvania for the election there. And then it was a primary. And then I went to New Jersey for the next primary there. And I climbed up this old staircase in this old building, and I knocked on the door, and the door was open, and there was someone at the desk sleeping, with his head on the desk sleeping. And I knocked on the door and said, "Excuse me, hello." And he looked up, and that was the man I was married to for 50 years. I'm married to him for 50 years now.
It's the most wonderful story.
It was Thomas, and he was a wonderful person. And he knew nothing about me, and I didn't tell anybody anything about my life, so I didn't have to answer any questions. And so everyone thought I was a divorcee instead of a widow. And even his family, they thought I was a divorced woman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did they get upset about that?
Huh?
Did they get upset about that?
Kind of, a little bit. They weren't sure because I was 37 and he was 23.
Get that? I love it.
And
He
I
was that
didn't-
much younger than she's so smart. So smart. So that when she gets older, he's going to take care of her.
I didn't know that he was 23. He looked to be 30 because he was very heavy and he had a full beard and long hippie hair. And I looked for 37 years old. I looked about 30 years old also. And so by the time we found out each other's age, it was shocking. We were all in a car smoking weed and driving to Detroit for a political thing. And we were sitting around and the girl said to Tom, "How old are you?" And he said, 23. And then she said, she was going around the circle, and how old are you? 37. And we looked at each other like, too late. Yeah, but I was always so young looking when I was in California that I couldn't do cigarette commercials, which was where the money was. And so
But Pampers was pretty good.
they were running out of time because all cigarette commercials had to go off the air. And so in November of that year, they were going to stop in January 1st. November that year, I got a lark. Show us your larks. It was a big commercial. And then I got a letter saying we're not going to use it. And I'm walking down the street in New York City crying because... And then I immediately got another commercial for a cigarette, and it was Winston Tastes Good.
Like a cigarette should. I remember that.
What do you want? Good grammar or good taste? Well, it only ran once because all commercials went off the air January 1st.
For cigarettes.
For cigarettes. But they allowed one commercial on the Super Bowl, which happened that year in like April or something. And that was my commercial. It was my commercial. I got to see it once.
Was that the Winston Church, the Winston
Yeah.
one? Oh, wow.
And he said, what do you want, good grammar or good taste? And I said, what I want is you to throw a pass my way once in a while.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that was very nice. But you don't make any money on that because they only ran it one time. But it was the last cigarette commercial was ever on the air was
Wow.
that one.
Well, if it was a national, even the first time they did it.
It was a John Wayne Super Bowl.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that's what you mostly did. Well, then
I did it.
after 3 years, you thought you were having menopause, right?
Right. And then it turns out I was pregnant with my child, my genius boy, and that's it.
Well, you had.
I'm still here.
You wanted to get married then, because you were a good Catholic girl. You were going to marry this.
I was a feminist and I didn't want to get married again. I just didn't want to because, I was a feminist and we didn't have to marry in those days, really. And but then I got pregnant and got married, and it's the most wonderful marriage. It's just a wonderful relationship.
It's such
lucky.
a wonderful thing to hear because 50 years is a long time to be married to anyone. And
he's one of 10 children, 7 boys. Yes, he came from a very small house in Levittown, 3-bedroom house in Levittown with 10 children and 2 parents. I don't know how they did it really, but I think the reason he's such a nice person is because he had to get along with everybody.
In the house, I should say. 10 children, my God, this poor woman with
10 children.
Was he
She was a
Catholic?
little person too. She worked for the post office, and his father was a cop,
No kidding.
New York City police officer. And then when he retired, he worked for the post office also. My husband also worked for the post office while he was going to school at night, and he got his degree as a civil engineer.
So this is a wonderful story. Also, I mean, the thing that's interesting about people, I think, you meet people and you say, well, how did they get along? Because such and such and such and such happened. If you are a good person, I think, sometimes it falls into your hand. And with him, he had, you said that he suddenly has gotten this marvelous job, that for years that you were eating hand to mouth kind of thing, but you didn't get as much money when he was working all the time.
No, it was always paycheck to paycheck until the last few years. In fact, the last few years we've been able to really enjoy our retirement.
That was because of what?
Because, well, he worked for the state for a long time. He worked for he's a bridge inspector. And
Isn't
now
that something, a bridge inspector? My God.
Yeah, and there's many bridges in New York City, believe me. Every overpass is considered to be a bridge.
Wow.
And they're going to do the 59th Street Bridge is going to be, that's the next big project. They inspect that. They inspect those things because...
Well, because you don't want to fall into the...
And they get old.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Bridge is over 100 years old.
Oh, yeah.
It's so beautiful bridge. It's a beautiful...
So I wonder how they inspect them. I mean, my God,
They get underneath them with a little cart and go along and check every little bolt.
Wow.
Because, some bolts get loose and, those things... They have expansion bolts because of the weather. It gets cold and it gets hot, so they have to have expansion bolts on a lot of those newer bridges. And he went to school at night. He went to City College, and then he went to Brooklyn College, and got a degree, which is great. But
now because
now he went back. He retired, but he was so bored. He was so bored in his retirement that he went back to work as a bridge inspector for a private company as a consultant. So he works 2 days a week or maybe 3.
How wonderful.
So it's
but
nice.
And it made it possible for you to travel, right?
Yes, we're going to Europe in 2 weeks.
No kidding. I didn't know that. Where are you going to go?
We're taking a cruise from Florida to Rotterdam.
Oh.
And it's really nice because I love to spend days at sea. And we're not drinkers, we're not partiers or anything like that. We usually get the last cabin with the deck, with a little private deck on one side of the ship or the other, the last one.
Those are beautiful, my God.
We stargaze at night, we're both kind of amateur astronomers. And so we just look at the stars and enjoy and get the chance to actually read a book, because you have 6 days at sea.
It's so nice. It is so nice.
Yeah.
If you have, a good situation. Now, I think I told everybody, I did a commercial for Royal Caribbean.
Oh.
And you say to yourself, that's what people do who want to have a great vacation, who don't have very much money, and they go on these ships. And we were on the ship, and it was like, my father had a motorboat that was it looked like a lobster boat.
Oh.
And so when we were kids, from the time I was a kid, we would go to islands and this one and that in this lobster boat.
Wow.
And we'd sleep sometimes in the boat.
Wow.
It was very nice. So when you're in that big thing, this one lady said, "Oh, I feel sick. I can feel it moving." I said, "You can't feel this moving. For God's sake, it's a ton. It's a huge ship." But, some people think they're crazy. But being on the water is wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so nice that you got that experience.
It's so peaceful. And we get to stay one day in England. We stop in one day. And one day in France. So we're going to take a 3-hour bus ride to Paris to spend the day in Paris. and take that little boat along the Seine, which is nice. And
that's beautiful.
He's never been to Paris before, so
go see the cathedral and take pictures for me. I die to go see what they've done.
Oh,
I mean,
since the fire.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to be absolutely gorgeous.
Really?
Oh my God! They got these artisans. We were talking about this the other day. They found artisans to do the work that was done hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what they did.
There's workmen that aren't that many of them left.
Yeah.
Real craftsmen.
And they trained other people a little bit. But like, for instance, the big, huge window, the raised window, they took all those pieces out and cleaned them.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, it must have been incredible.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's exciting. So you're going to go on the little trip on the Seine.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. They take you from the boat onto the bus, and then you take give you a little tour of Paris. And then then you go to the boat, and you have lunch on the boat, which is nice.
Very nice.
And then get back on the bus so we wind up in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. The Netherlands. That sounds so wild.
Yeah, I mean, I have never been to Rotterdam.
Yeah, Rotterdam.
Never. I mean, why would I be at Rotterdam? That's interesting to go there.
Yeah, well, I lived in Germany for 2 years in Munich. My girlfriend from high school and grammar school called one day and said, let's go to Europe. And I said, oh, okay. So we saved our money for a whole year.
Oh my God.
And we took a boat, the Queen Mary, to Europe.
Wow.
The two of us. And
how old were you?
it was wonderful. I was 18.
Oh my.
No.
You're kidding.
No, I was alone at 18. I was probably maybe 19 or something like that, very young. And it was really great. We were two innocents abroad because we got there, we didn't know anything about anything. And so we went right to Italy, and then we realized that we had this is before they had wheels on suitcases, so we had these huge suitcases, dragging them around.
Oh my God.
Up the stairs of a pensione, up the stairs. And so we decided, Connie knew more than I did. She said, let's go to Germany and buy a car. So we got on a train and we went to Germany, and we bought a full $500 Volkswagen. We had insurance for 6 months, plus $500 for the car. And we took the car back down to Rome and to Italy, and we drove all over. It was just wonderful driving all over.
Did she have an international license?
I don't think we needed one.
Oh.
I don't think we did at the time. I don't think they needed one. We took the car all over, and we took the car over to Brindisi, and we put it on a ferry, and we took the car to Greece.
It's amazing.
And we visited Greece, and we loved it there, and we were running out of money, totally. And so we thought we could turn in our tickets and get the money for the tickets, for our return tickets. We tried to do that, but they said it takes 90 days to get the money back.
Oh my God.
So we had no money. So we had to get in a car and drive nonstop through Yugoslavia. At the time, it was Yugoslavia. All the way through, around Albania, all the way through, because you couldn't go in there, all the way to Germany. We got there on a Friday afternoon. We went right to the Kaserne where the United States Army was. And she got a job that very day with bachelor's officers' quarters to stay. And I got a job the following Monday, as secretaries, because they were looking for secretaries. Always.
Oh my, you girls are amazing! Amazing!
And we stayed for 2 years until she got married over there, and so I had to come back to the States.
It's amazing.
She found a wonderful person, and he was a soldier, and so I took advantage of living there because I learned how to ski. They had a learn to ski week, and learned to be a photographer a week. I took all of those classes to try, why not? It was practically no money. Yeah, because the Army was just giving classes for that. Came back to this country, and I've been here ever since.
Was that before or after? That was before the first marriage, right?
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
This little girl who didn't know anything, she figured
Heaven
it out.
protected the innocents abroad.
I guess they did. I mean, you must have looked like you knew what you were doing, because they don't.
I don't know. I guess from Philadelphia you have a little bit of moxy, you can bluff it. Yeah, we're both from Philadelphia.
So you are, and where was she from?
Philadelphia. She's my neighbor.
Oh, what?
We went to school, grammar school, all the way through high school together.
Where in Philadelphia? Where in Philadelphia?
North Philadelphia.
Well,
Lehigh Avenue.
See, we both came
Germantown.
Yes, I went to school at Germantown Friends School.
Oh.
And Dante also did that.
Oh, wow.
And I was near Jenkintown and Abington and all those places.
Yeah, those are nice places.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah, Abington, nice.
That's where I was born.
Yeah.
My mother had 6 children and lived there. We lived there, and we would have to go in the little train, down to Germantown Avenue, and then take the bus up to Germantown Friends School.
I live right near Germantown Avenue, walking distance. In fact, that was our avenue. We call it the Avenue. We walk over to there to go shop, and I enjoy myself.
But you're amazing, because you must have had that, as you said, moxy from.
I used to get, my brother-in-law worked for the railroad, the Reading Railroad.
Yeah.
And so he had a pass for his wife to travel. So I would use his pass to come to New York to see a show by myself. And I would say, Mrs. Atwell, would you honor my husband's pass? And they say yes, always say yes, and let me ride for free on the train to New York. And then I would go to the theater for $2 at the time. You could buy standing room tickets for $2, and you stood in the back, and when someone left a seat or it was an empty seat, you sat in it. I got to see My Fair Lady.
Really?
Yes, second row. It was amazing. And, I got to see a lot of good shows in those days for $2, because that's all I could afford. Then I get on the train and come back to Philadelphia.
It's amazing. See, you have courage, is what I started out this conversation saying, what happens when you can have courage to the extent that this little girl, she was a little girl, and she had courage. I never had that kind of courage.
I had the courage of innocence, I think. I didn't know to be really afraid of things like that. And I had been performing as an actor for anyone that would have me, because even though we were Catholic and we weren't allowed to go to places like the Salvation Army or things like that, my mother let us do that, because Salvation Army had a recreation center for children, and so did the YMCA, which we were not allowed to go there either.
Really?
No.
Why?
Because it was another kind of religion. It wasn't Catholic. God. I went to both places, and at the Salvation Army, I learned to sew, and I was acting, because I did a Christmas show there, and my parents never really. They were both busy. They were both working, so no one ever came to see me do any of these things.
Aww.
I was by myself. I would go by myself and do it and come back home. And so
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Say?
How many brothers and sisters did you
There were
have?
5 of us, 4 girls, and then a boy at the end. Yeah. My brother, he was one of the first COVID fatalities.
No.
The last of my siblings, Philadelphia, he was on dialysis, and in those days you go to a dialysis center 3 days a week for 3 hours. Well, every single patient died. Every one of them in the first 2 months of COVID, every single patient died. Plus, 1/3 of the staff died in the first 2 months because nobody really
understood
knew about it. And so that was a very sad thing. And luckily, I was able to call him. I called him the night before he died. I called the hospital, and they said he's in intensive care. And so I explained I was living in New York and I would like to speak with him. So they let me talk to him. And I said, I hear you have pneumonia. He says, no, it's the COVID. And he was afraid his wife had it too, which she did not. So, and the next morning he died. Yeah, and they closed the center. They closed the dialysis center. It never reopened.
Oh, boy.
Never reopened.
It's a shame what we did
But
not
over a million Americans died in that thing. It was a terrible thing, and people don't realize how bad it's still around. It's just that
we've got all the shots for it. But the first person who got it here in New York City was my lawyer.
Really?
He was at a big Jewish something in the synagogue or something, and he got sick. Nobody knew what it was.
Oh.
And finally, luckily, he survived. But I think it got to him in other ways, you know. It was something that, since they didn't know exactly what it was, it took a long time to say what it was, and I think he's not totally whatever. But, so do you have your sisters? Are they still alive?
No, I'm the last one.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I miss them all. We were all close.
What number were you?
4. Oh, 3.
3.
Right in the middle. It's 4 girls and then a boy.
Yeah, I was the middle too.
Yeah, middle child. It's nice. I had a very happy childhood. I had a happy home. No yelling and screaming like that, you know. So I'm lucky that way.
And I think that's what you brought to your own marriage.
I think so too. I really do, because there's a placid existence. There's no tension, and I don't think in 50 years we've said any mean or hurtful thing to each other ever. It's just
extraordinary.
Yeah, he's a kind, generous person, and I'm very lucky.
And he's lucky too.
And he's lucky too, yeah.
And your son.
And my son is...
And tell about what your son, how
he
your brilliance.
He was in a gifted program in Chinatown for school, and then he went to Hunter High School, and in the senior year they picked 2 students to be American Academy of Excellence, and they took the 2 of them, Simon, and the other boy was a Westinghouse Westinghouse scholar, and they took the 2 of them to Washington for a weekend to get awards for that.
Aww.
And then he got a scholarship to Amherst.
What? Scholarship to Amherst?
Yeah.
He's got to be a bright kid.
It's a really good school, and it's a needs blind thing. If they accept you, they'll figure out a way for you to go there. So they took $350 out of Tom and I, out of our money. Every month we paid $350. And then Simon had a job at school as in the library. And then they just took care of all the rest of it.
Wow. $350. You hear that, folks?
Yeah.
Sending your kid to college for $350. How long ago was that?
A month. That was, oh, geez. I don't remember.
It was a lot of years ago.
Yeah. But $350 was a lot of money, because they took your salary and they took a certain percentage of it, and that was the rule. But it was a very good college in a beautiful space up there, and he did very well in college. He graduated not not the biggest one, the next one, cum laude, summa cum, whatever. And of course, he didn't tell us until we went to graduation and heard his name called.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
He's a shy guy?
Yes, he is a shy person. Yeah.
And now what is he doing?
Now he's unemployed. He's unemployed. He's a technical wizard on the computer, and he was a computer guy for this company, and they laid off a lot of people in the last year. And so now he does a couple of days every couple of weeks for them. But he's perfectly content. I say, he doesn't seem to, he's not worried about money, so I'm not, that's nice. That's nice. He's not concerned about money. He never had a car because he's a city kid, so he never had a car, so he has no real expenses other than his rent. And he has an apartment up here in Inwood.
But he doesn't stay there very much.
And he comes home 4 days a week.
I think this is amazing. Your mommy and daddy live in an apartment.
Tiny.
A tiny apartment, and you come home 4 days a week just to be with them. That says a lot about the mommy and the daddy.
Yeah, he does. He comes home 4 days a week, and for breakfast from me, and then at dinner, the two of them are I'm a vegetarian. My son is probably close to being a vegan, and Tom is a big meat eater. So he has his Mediterranean diet. He cooks pasta with meat sauce every night, and my son eats pasta plain, and I cook a fish for myself later. But the two of them are in the kitchen together, the kitchen area together every night, watching Jeopardy and playing a golf game on the computer, and chit-chatting all the time, which is wonderful.
Incredible, such a great story about a family. It's
it's just lovely. I'm really a lucky person. I have managed to survive this long, and
but you have a very good heart. That's why you're a lucky person. Your soul. It's like this does not happen out of the blue. You have to be a kind person, I think, for these kind of things to happen.
Well, I think I may have done something wonderful in my past life to get all this nice stuff I deserve. I
always wonder about that. What's going on in the past life? Anyway,
I must have done something awfully good.
I'm so glad you got to hear this wonderful story, because Suzanne is just, it's wonderful when you hear someone who finds they're in a situation and they just fix it. They do this, it doesn't work, so they go here and they fix that and they fix. I can't believe how wonderful it is to hear this, because there's so many times in our lives where we come up against this stuff and we say, oh, I can't do this. No, you never did that. You never said, I can't do this. You went, oh, well, I better go here and do that. And I better go here and do that. You kept walking. And that makes such a difference.
Yeah.
A little lesson, folks. A little lesson for all of us who are watching this. And I thank you so much for telling this terrific story.
You're more than welcome.
It was really great. Really great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to visit your beautiful apartment and see all these wonderful things you managed to save from your mother and from your home back as a child.
Yeah, these things.
And you're surrounded by lovely things. It's uplifting to me.
Well, it's very nice, because I must say that one thing about in my family, my father was a designer in a sense, and my mother was an amazing lady, and she got married to him when she was 15 or 16, and he was much older than she was. He was 8 years older. But he had a look. He could look at something. He never wanted us to be wearing black or dark. Look at this. And he thought we should always have color. So that if you look around like this, there was always color around, wonderful color. And what happened out of that is that two of my nieces and nephews are artists, come out of being artists. and there's some actors, and there's some this, it's just wonderful because the family, as you said, whatever happens, it builds on itself, like
Yeah.
with your family now.
Yeah.
So very nice.
Yeah.
So it's very good that people could hear it.
And it's also nice if you raise in a stable home where there's love. Although my parents were both, Irish Catholic or whatever, but they were not demonstrative. It's not like an Italian family where everybody's hugging, and I love that, but that's not the way they were. But we knew they loved us. We never doubted that for a minute. Just knowing that, not expressing it, other than God bless you and I love you, things like that. But I always envy the Italian people because they're so tactile,
It always made me feel kind of a little funny because similar to you, we were not huggies at home.
Yeah.
And when an Italian person comes over and hugs me, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn how to deal with it because a lot of them are, or they say, I love you more than I can say. One of the ladies who was tapes always calls me and she said, I love you more than I can say. And I think, how nice. So thank you for doing this. And we should have it again and again and again so we learn from you.
Oh.
And that's that.